Play.
Ooh,
Hello, welcome to Talking Tennis. What an intro that was. This is WTA Weekly. My name is Jakub Bobro. I am joined by Damian Kust. Damian, how are you doing? Are you just so hyped after that wonderful
yeah.
birthday video?
I mean, after that intro, I really feel like we are going to disappoint you. This was just so grandiose, and the cameos from tennis players, Elina Avanesian at the end, of course, the main star, but no, Andy Murray, um, Alex
Marco
Correggia,
Cecchinato
was
was
it?
in there.
Yeah,
Correia was there as well. Yeah,
incredible
just
stuff. Yeah.
the creme de la creme of the tennis society. We have tournaments to discuss. You were at one of them in Warsaw, where I think we should probably start. Where of course Iga Świątek won the whole thing as expected, beating Laura Siegemund 6-love, 6-1 in the final, an absolute beatdown to finish. It wasn't always easy though. She was challenged a little bit in the first round by Abduraimova. She was challenged even more by Janina Wickmeyer in the semifinals, who had a great run. Pushed her in the second set to a tiebreak set. But yeah, what was it like watching Iga live? What was the reaction overall, and how did you what did you think about her game there?
Yeah, in general, it's super fun to watch her live, I think. I haven't really had that many chances to do it, at least not as many as you would expect. Sort of before she broke through onto the tour, I was not like fully into, Polish tennis, in that I was only like really watching it on TV or like watching, I don't know, challengers or something. But I wasn't really following, youngsters, juniors, as I do right now, in a more in-depth fashion. So I actually, my first chance to watch Świątek live was last year in Warsaw. So this was only my second opportunity. Certainly it is quite an experience. The stroke production quality is just sort of breathtaking, and yeah, the forehand is just a monster, and always like, I always think that's like a bit of a cheat code. It just all sounds really like it. Her strokes, when she actually sets up for them well, they just seem very safe, but at the same time, they are, some of the best, some of the best in the game when it comes to the power and also the spin. So yeah, it's just a ridiculous watch live, I think. People go to Warsaw to watch Iga. Like, they don't go to Warsaw to watch tennis. So obviously her matches just get incredible crowd. This is actually the stadium where the event is played out. It's the biggest one in Poland that's like all year long dedicated to tennis, because we've had some
Mhm.
bigger venues for like Davis Cup or Fed Cup, or Billie Jean King Cup, but this is the biggest one when it comes to just purely tennis all year long. It's with all the stands that they also just get for the event. It's like over 4K people, I think. So it is pretty huge, and like they all come there for Świątek, which has its own merits and has its own non-merits. And well, that's maybe something, for later. But just when it comes to Świątek, of course we were expecting her to win the title. Maybe the switch to hard courts, like, you could kind of, you weren't really sure what the conditions were going to be like, because this was the first year when they played it on hard courts. Last year it was on clay. They made the switch in order to, well, attract a better field, but also to get Iga to, like, just play every year, because just in terms of calendar, in terms of scheduling, it makes a lot more sense for her. So we were expecting her to win it. She did it in style, but as you said, Nigina Abduraimova, Janina Wickmeyer, these were actual tests, and that's good, because some of the matches, like against Noskova, Siegemund, they never really got interesting, right? And then honestly, I don't get that much pleasure out of watching, like, the final against Siegemund. Yeah, it just wasn't really something that got me going. It While it was a masterclass, it was just far too lopsided. But there were certainly patches in these matches, like against Abduraimova, Wickmeyer, where she had to work hard, and she delivered on every single time. So I think still a positive week, even if not much really like could have been done. Like, who could have stopped her in this draw? But well. she does it. And clearly it was also very emotional for her, right? With she's basically from Warsaw, she's from Russian, which is like super close to Warsaw, and the feeling of playing with the Polish crowd is certainly something that was pretty tough for her in the past. Like, she had a couple of, even on these very courts, she had a couple of very weird performances like 5 years ago or something. Obviously back then it wasn't clay, but she had like a retirement where people said that she just got flustered by something and retired without any physical issues, or like a pretty random loss. So yeah, it was pretty huge for her as well mentally, I think, to eventually get there and play her best tennis in Warsaw, because she was never really able to do it in the past, and she talked about it a lot at the press conferences.
Yeah. So what do you think it was about Wickmeyer that sort of pushed her more than maybe Siegemund? Siegemund, I was curious about. She has a lot of variety. I saw a stat that she had like the second most net approaches in a single tournament all year on the WTA. So
Really?
what do you think? Yeah, yeah. I think she had like 81, and then Muchova in Indian Wells was the only one who had more. Not counting slams, of course, since they're longer. But yeah, what do you think it was about Wickmeyer that sort of pushed Iga more than the likes of Siegemund?
Honestly, just how good a ball striker she is, I think. Also, the serve as well is great, but I was just absolutely stunned by Janina Wickmeyer this year. Sorry, this week and this year as a whole. But you guys probably know that I don't watch that much women's tennis like on a weekly basis, especially compared to the men's. So like I was mostly following Wickmeyer's run resurgence from FR, just seeing like a match or two, and just seeing how good the scores and the titles that she amassed were. But this was, I think she was the second best performer of this event easily. I think she was the toughest test for Swiatek as well. Even though, of course, this could have been a very easy match if Swiatek had like I don't know 6-1. She was 6-1 5-2 up, right? She had 3 match points at 5-3, so this didn't even have to go until Sunday. But yeah, Wickmeyer just has a very good serve, and after that, just plays this sort of ruthless aggression. And I'm not surprised that she got to the net so much. Against Swiatek, she actually wasn't that efficient at the net. But maybe I actually didn't tweet about it eventually, but I think that wasn't really her fault. I think it was just that in order to hit through Swiatek, she had to hit like so many low margin shots that at some point she just decided, at some point in a rally that perhaps wasn't really perfect for it, she just decided, okay, I'm not gonna hit through her. I mean, I've just hit 4 huge forehands. What am I gonna do? Let's go to the net. And then eventually, like, she wouldn't really get the best possible first volley and etc. Swiatek's defense is just so good, her movement, that she gets all of these huge forehands back with interest. And yeah, I just don't think she ever really was that comfortable on the volley against Swiatek, mostly because she didn't, she just didn't get easy balls from the Pole side. But yeah, I'm not surprised that she got to net so much, and that's also in 4 matches, right? So that's pretty interesting. That Muchova at Indian Wells, how many matches did she play there? I'm not really sure, but
Can't
it's probably
imagine.
like 5, right? Because I think she didn't get to the semis, so I think it's 5. Yeah, I didn't know that it was going to be so huge in regards to the whole WTA Tour of 2023. But yeah, she just plays some very aggressive tennis, and it was really a brilliant watch. I think that match against Swiatek in the semis, besides maybe the second set tiebreak, was definitely the highest quality tennis I've seen all week in Warsaw. And by the way, I also did some like reading up on Janina Wickmeyer, of course, when I saw how well she was playing, like even from the opening round, which honestly against Nao Hibino, I think I only saw 2 games of the last 2 games. But then I watched the second round, in full, and she was ridiculous. So I did some reading up on her. Like I never really truly realized how long she has been gone from the like top level.
Yeah, yeah.
Her previous semi or a quarter, I can't remember what the stat was like in 2017. And just watching her, you kind of don't understand why. Like I know she gave birth to a child and like had some injuries, but when you just watch her out there, it sounds impossible that she was out for so long. And also I found this interesting article from like 2011, I think, from Time, which was called 30 stars of women's tennis, the past, the present, and the future, or something like that. And Janina Wickmeyer was included as one of the future stars, like the 10 future stars of women's tennis by Time, which sounds ridiculous when you think about it, but it kind of tells you like how respected she was. When she was just coming up onto the tour, I think she was in the US Open semis. We also have a Polish connection because I think in maybe 2010 she totally crushed Poland in Fed Cup as well, including Radwańska and Domachowska. So yeah, it was super fun to watch her playing like this again, and I honestly completely forgot how good she was.
Yeah, and I mean, she's been around for such a long time. She was in the US Open semis back in 2009. So
Oh, that's but that's
it is.
Siegemund, not Wickmeyer in that stat that you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was talking about Sigmund.
Oh,
That's that.
I
Not
thought.
not with Mary now.
Oh,
Um, but
how did this happen? Why didn't you stop me?
yeah,
No,
I wasn't
Ziegler
sure
makes
who.
sense as well. Yeah, Ziegler
Yeah,
makes even more sense, I would say. Yeah, but let's.
I thought we were talking about Ziegman, then we switched to Wickmeyer, but I thought maybe you were just talking about Wickmeyer the whole time. Never mind.
I was talking about Wickmeyer the whole time, honestly, because I thought that's who you were referring to, but never mind.
No, no. Well, they're not both Germans. Wickmeyer is Belgian, John, but yeah, Siegmund also known for a bit of dark arts, mental games she likes to play. She got into an argument with Tatiana Maria in the semifinals. I saw about her being late,
Yeah.
like being for turns and stuff. But yeah, I want to just sort of bring up the Jimmy Arias quote about Iga Swiatek. He said that she is not great for women's tennis because she wears her hat so low that you can't even see her face or eyes during the match, so you don't get a connection as much as you could. He wants to see more personality from her. Do you feel like that's echoed at all in Poland? Is she less beloved than somebody like Radwańska was, who had like a lot more personality on court than Iga does, but not as much success?
Um. Uh,
Well, Damian disappeared, seemingly, at least for me, on the screen here. But yeah, I guess we'll just wait until he comes back. So far, I can probably go on a little bit of a Rebeka Shramkova monologue. She was the one who took out the second seed, Karolina Muchova. Damian's back.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know what happened. StreamYard just decided to throw me out randomly. But when it comes to Świątek in Poland, like the boom right now that we have on tennis here is nothing like it's just incomparable to what we had a couple of years ago. This is just entirely new. She's basically Robert Lewandowski level of famous right now.
Oh, wow.
Like in polls, well, in polls about polls, when they ask people like which sports people they know, she basically comes in at like rates just like Lewandowski, and better than ski jumpers. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And as I said earlier, it's definitely interest in Świątek rather than tennis. But when
Mhm.
it comes to Jimmy Arias, um, yeah, I just think it's utter BS. Obviously, everyone besides Jimmy Arias probably thinks that. Of
Yeah.
course, Shelton isn't like maybe the most marketable in like the sense of the word. Like, she won't earn as much money on sponsorships as I don't know Naomi Osaka still does while not playing, right? But that's not really the point. I think she still has so many brands that want to get involved with her. The personality, I think it still shines through. Like, it's not really forced. She is a bit of an introvert. She doesn't really share all that much. I think also the team, especially the sports psychologist Daria Abramovich, is like trying to keep her away from the media and the whole thing. But that doesn't really mean that she doesn't show personality, right? I mean, yeah, I don't really see a problem there. Like, compared to, I think sometimes people compare her to Casper Ruud in this sense. I think she still like has a lot more going for her in terms of being maybe like a popular tennis player that really speaks out to people. And that's not to say Ruud doesn't. Maybe it's just the fact that he doesn't get as much coverage. But yeah, I don't really see how having a hat on is relevant at all. You can still see her facial expressions. I mean, she is actually pretty expressive, right? So yeah, I think it's absolutely fine, and I don't see any issue regarding this. And by the way, I don't know if we're gonna come back to this, but this Siegemund thing, 84 net approaches, this is actually very explainable. And basically, on Saturday, because we had we had some issues with rain. I've been to Warsaw for this well, not for this tournament, but for a tennis tournament now for the third year in a row. 2 years ago, on the very same courts, there was a challenger. 1 year ago was this, the first edition in Warsaw of this BNP Paribas Warsaw Open, or however it's called, and now this one. Every single time it's raining, so there seems to be some sort of a microclimate there or whatever. But anyway, on Friday, they moved the doubles semis and the doubles quarters to like an indoor venue, and they only left two singles quarterfinals on the schedule. One of them wasn't even finished, so there was a lot of stuff happening on Saturday. And Laura Siegemund, she started at 10 a.m. She played for over 3 hours against Lucrezia Stefanini, and then she got back onto the court at like 4 p.m. and she played for 3 hours against Tatiana Maria. And at various parts of these matches, especially the latter, she was so tired that she was basically net rushing on almost every single point. So
okay, yeah, that
there you have
that
it.
makes sense.
And
Yeah,
against Swiatek, I think she would have tried to do that as well, but it would be like she just wasn't able to
never
do
really in
it
the match.
because
Yeah,
Swiatek is just not going to give you this much of like this much freedom. You're not going to be able to follow up your aggressive shots to the net because 90% of the points you're not even playing an aggressive shot. So so yeah, that's why she got so many. She played two long thrillers in a row, and a big part of them was net approaches. But yeah, Laura Siegemund has always been like a player known for her variety, right? I mean, when she was winning that Stuttgart WTA 500 and making the final either the following year or the year before that, I think that was really what sort of differentiated her from, I don't know, Pliskova or whoever did well in these years as well. That she was really using all of these drop shots and wrapping up points at the net. Obviously, she also, it's not like she's the most varied player on the WTA tour, because in this very event she played Tatiana Maria and Maja Chwalinska, for example, right? But yeah, having two long thrillers where part of her strategy to shorten the points was going to the net definitely played its part in this statistic, which I initially thought you were talking about Vic Meyer, which I'm assuming that Vic Meyer also had like 50 net approaches or something in this event, because that's also part of the game.
she also won the doubles as well.
Yeah,
With Meyer with Heather Watson. So yeah, huge tournament for her. Also a huge tournament. While you were gone, I started talking a bit about her. Rebeka Shramkova, who took out the second biggest favorite for the title here, Karolina Muchova. 7-5, 3-6, 7-5, an insane comeback from 5-1 down in the deciding set. After the match, she said two words: women's tennis. When asked about that comeback, took a set off Tatiana Maria. I wasn't expecting her to really follow up that win because she never really does. But yeah, what were your thoughts on Shramkova watching her there?
I think I told you that on Twitter like during the week, but I was surprised to learn that she hasn't been to the top 100. I think there's definitely been players who like have even made some major impact and don't have that sort of an upside. yeah, that match against Muchova is of course something that is going to stick with me as well. I said that Wikmajer Świątek was probably the highest quality tennis I've watched all week, but this was probably the entertainment entertainment peak, right? It's not that it was poor in terms of quality, definitely not, and especially not like the last 6 games. You would usually expect that if someone leads 5-1, has how many match points? 6, 5, something like that.
Many,
Uh,
many.
yeah, has
I
many
remember.
match points. You would usually think that it's a choke, right? And I'm not even sure it was that. Shamkova was still playing very aggressively, but just wouldn't miss at all. And yeah, she won it 7-5, which was of course a huge shocker. I think for the tournament it was a bit of a hit as well. But eventually it actually panned out quite okay because yeah, you had Wikmajer as a pretty big name, you had Noskova playing Świątek as a pretty big name, and then of course the semi was finished on Sunday, right? If the only action with Świątek that we got on Sunday was the Siegemund final, then we would be like, yeah, that's not amazing. But we actually got something else, even if it was just 3 games, right? The drama in the fact that they had to come back onto the court at 6-1, 5-5. But yeah,
And a tie break and everything. Yeah.
yeah, I think it made up for it, but yes, it's only 7 letters. But yeah, Shamkova just an incredible comeback, and I don't know if I'm gonna say that like I gonna become a fan of her or something, but definitely respect her a lot more than I did before this week, and this has to be like one of her best wins, regardless
Oh
of the
yeah.
ranking. But I think even when it comes to the rankings, this is her second best ever win after Kvitova in Prague 2 years ago or something like that. And taking into consideration how she did it, it has to be perhaps the best one of her career. So yeah, ridiculous stuff, really.
Yeah, definitely. Kvitova in Prague. She also had like a Fed Cup win back in. I'm trying to remember. Against Italy, I think she beat Sara Errani before Errani declined that much, but it was indoor clay, which always felt like suits her a lot more. She likes to have time, but she also likes it, a little bit faster for her ground strokes. But yeah, I mean the potential is definitely there. She still might have maybe a sustained run that brings her to the top 100. We'll see. She's only 26. It's not all over for her just yet, but yeah, she just hasn't really shown that consistency at any point in her career, unfortunately. Anything else that we want to talk about from Warsaw?
Yeah, I had something, but I'm not what was it? Definitely. Oh yeah, I know what I want to talk about. Two things. Well, one is that besides Świątek, no Paul won in the singles, which was a bit of a disappointment, especially considering that in the 2021 and 2022 edition there was actually quite a lot of you know well, I don't know if runs, but certainly at least exciting matches with the Poles. But then again, if you think about the fact that Frank and Linette didn't play it, so like the
Mhm.
Polish number 2, the Polish number 3 didn't show up. So I guess it's fine. We just sort of give the players a chance to do something and grab more experience, but they're not going to do it. But this kind of ties into what I also have to talk about, in that this event now has a very like unstable future. And that's because like without Świątek, it just doesn't make sense whatsoever. People just wouldn't really show up. And it's not only fans, it's very sad that even like the media doesn't care about other matches like whatsoever.
Mhm.
There, for example, yeah, I mean, I can come up with many examples for this, but let's start with this. Karolina Muchova has a press conference after her first round match, right? And she shows up, and really plenty of people come, and she's like, oh, if I knew there was going to be so many journalists, I would have taken a shower. Everyone laughs, yeah, and fine. And then the how do you call this guy, like the moderator talks to her for a while, and he says that sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but we're only going to have 3 questions for Muhova, so choose wisely. And well, so of course I raise my hand. I ask the first question, and then it turns out that no one else has anything else to ask to the Roland Garros runner-up, right? Uh, I mean, someone saved the situation by asking her whether she's going to watch Iga Świątek's match, which isn't a great question, but you know, he was. I understand. He was just trying to, you know, yeah, just save us from looking like dumbasses. But anyway, that's only one thing. Like, you know, the media stand or something like that, like usually is just fully empty, and the only time you know, people show up is Świątek's matches. Like, I understand that many of the journalists there aren't going to be tennis fans, but there are also tennis fans there. Like, I know there are actually people like super interested in tennis who still only watch Świątek's matches, and it's kind of sad. But it also like means that if Świątek was not going to compete, I'm not sure people would buy the tickets. Like, I'm actually kind of sure they wouldn't, at least not at these prices. So yeah, now you have a photo from the tournament from me, but that you have some like the crowd is pretty full, but that's because Świątek was about to come onto the court, and basically that's what it was. Then again, I also really understand that like hype, interest, they have to be generated organically, I would say. Uh, they have to be generated organically. We can hear this sound, you know. Yeah, hype and interest have to be generated organically, and like when if you show a certain tennis event or a certain tennis match to 1,000 of people, most of them probably aren't going to, I don't know, turn on another one tomorrow, right? But two or three are, and that's how you in general interest people in anything. So yeah, this event, I mean, is still going to improve this situation. Like, maybe some people are going to get invested in tennis, not only Świątek. But yeah, the big question is what happens if Świątek is not going to play it, and maybe we're going to see it next year, because we have this situation of the Paris Olympics, right? And if the tournament stays in this current time slot on hard courts, it's just not going to work. The players aren't going to come. Świątek isn't going to come, and yeah, I don't even think the WTA will want to have something like this, right? So I don't know. Maybe you move it back to clay, which would be ridiculous given how much it costs to, you know, to build these hard courts. Maybe you move it to a different slot in the calendar. That's something that the WTA has to like agree on, and I don't know if it's going to be possible. Maybe you just don't hold it next year and come back in 2025. That could be a possibility. I don't know, but yeah, if Świątek isn't here, at least for now, it's just not going to exist. So there is a faint chance that maybe this was the last time we actually got this event, and maybe this was the last time Świątek gets to play a WTA 250 in Poland. Who knows? It's something we cannot really say, but definitely 2024 looks like a problem for the tournament for now.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly not a good situation to be in. But I think surely just outside of next year, whatever it ends up being, whether they move it, whether they don't move it at all, I think that there's no reason why she shouldn't play it in 2025, 2026, and so on.
Yeah, at least in theory, no. Like, we'll see how she handles, you know, Montreal right now. She actually wouldn't say when she was gonna travel to Montreal, like on which day, because that's the sort of fandom that she has in Poland right now. Like, if
Yeah, I
she
was gonna say don't dox herself for her flight.
yeah,
Probably.
if she said, then people would have been, I don't know, staking out the airport or something. So yeah, basically she wouldn't really say, but of course it's gonna be like today or tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see how she handles the North American hardcourt season this time. Last year it was just absolutely crazy because she had to jump between surfaces back and forth, right? So it didn't make sense for her whatsoever. Now it's probably fine for her to play here. I agree. It's like, you know, the goals that there are basically two goals, like promote tennis and also, of course, win points, win the title. And I think they are sort of, you know, on the same level, probably. But yeah, if it's on hard courts and if there's no Olympics on clay in the meantime, there's definitely a high chance that she will continue playing this event. And also, it's not going to be stopped by the new WTA rules, right? Because there are the new WTA rules that are like top 10 players. What is it? Top 10 players cannot play 250s unless it's like in your home country and there's no 500s or something like that, right?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember what exactly it is, but definitely Swiatek is still going to be able to play Warsaw under this new eligibility rule. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think we can move on to Hamburg, where we have a short clip from Desiree. If John will cue it up, we will play that for you now.
Hello, Desiree Fields reporting from Hamburg. What an incredible week of tennis we witnessed at the Hamburg European Open last week. There were so many fairy tales and so many dreams come true. I think one of the most amazing stories of the tournament was watching 19-year-old Noha Akugue go all the way to the finals. Now, this is the 19-year-old young German who was granted a wild card into the tournament. Prior to the tournament, she was ranked 207 in the world. And at the beginning, it was all rather unassuming. Nobody really expected very much. But she very calmly proceeded through the tournament. And I was lucky enough to be there for the semi-finals, where she convincingly beat Schneider. And then that took her into the finals, of course. What was incredible to see, actually, the German crowds are very fair in terms of supporting both players, but really that crowd carried, I think, Noma to the finals and was very supportive. In the finals itself, it was a little bit sad to see that in the first set, Noma obviously had a bit of nerves going on. She lost the first set 6-0, but there's nothing to really be disappointed about because she had a spectacular run. Nobody thought she would end up in the finals and be the most successful German lady actually in this year's tournament. And actually, in the second set, she put on such a convincing performance that I think if that had been the first set, she probably would have actually had a pretty good chance to win the same. She really just had to have those nerves settle. I don't think this is the last that we would have seen of the young German. She is highly talented, she's really driven, and she has a lovely personality as well. So looking forward really to see how her journey continues.
Yeah, thank you to Desiree for that little clip there. And we should start, of course, with Noha Akugue. She was the biggest star, the biggest story of this whole event. Started by beating Laura Pigosi in the first round, 7-5, 6-4. They had a bit of a crazier match against Storm Hunter, love 6, 7-6, 6-4. Beat Martina Trevisan in the quarterfinals, 5-7, 6-4, 7-5. That was the match that really sort of put her on the radar for me as okay, this is an impressive run. I think they had some sort of a bit of a conflict where Trevisan didn't really want to shake her hand. I saw something about Akugue maybe hitting her with a ball or something accidentally. Beats Diana Schneider in the semifinals as well. Lost to Aranj Karus in the final, but yeah, what did you make of this run for Noha Akugue?
Yeah, definitely. She's been like a player who people recommended to me a couple of years ago, and like said that potentially she could have a very high upside. She definitely has that. She's got a very huge game naturally, and also being lefty, and still moving very well. You would feel that it should be more repeatable than it's been on the tour. So maybe this is the start of something. Definitely, like I think if you throw her into like more main tour events, she would be still getting wins, but at the same time, of course, she's not really putting up consistent ITF results. But it makes a lot of sense with her game profile, I think. And yeah, having a run like this in Hamburg, of course, is just compared to any result basically that she's had so far, it's just night and day. So yeah, quite a showing, and especially as you said that win over Trevisan, very like drawn out, and also I think against Storm Hunter, she had another another great comeback too. Would have to agree that in the final, she probably felt the nerves a little bit, and like the more control-y play style of Arantxa Rus felt just fared much better in the under these circumstances.
Yeah, interestingly enough, she just has one professional title. I feel like she has made quite a few finals on the ITF tour,
Yeah.
and doesn't really manage to close out these events. So I wasn't really expecting her to sort of change that pattern in the final against Aranj Karuz, who is of course such an experienced player, 32 years old, known as a bit of an ITF vulture. Uh, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty fair to say that 34 ITF titles in her career, including from this year. I mean, earlier this month she was like an ITF 40 that she won in Hague, and you know she's like she was top 60 at that point. She's top 50 now. Won Contractsville as well earlier this month. Though
Are
that
you
was a bit
counting
of a strong.
the 125s to the ITF titles, or?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I guess
Yeah,
I did count
yeah,
that.
that's not ITF, but the only reason I'm
Yeah,
mentioning this is because there's this. I mean, I don't know how to call it. I guess it's a stat that Arantxa Rus actually has as many ITF titles as many years she has. So
okay.
that's quite ridiculous, you know. But yeah, I definitely have to agree that in her case, sometimes the phrase "vulture" was actually relevant because she used to play a lot of 25Ks while still
Yeah,
ranked, like I don't know, in the top
back in
100.
2019, yeah,
Yeah,
back in 2019, she won 10 titles, and like a majority of them were 25Ks, and she
she
was
was
still
in
in
the
the
top
top
200
100.
for all of that year. Like she never fell
Yeah,
out of the top 200 that year, and yet still played at least 10 25Ks. And yeah, she is the record holder because of that, along with Dragos Nicolae Madaras now.
yeah. On this run, she started by beating Maria Timofeeva, the Budapest champion from last
Yeah.
week, 6-1 in the third. Beat Nadia Podoroska. After that, she pushed her the hardest, 7-5 in the third. Took out Eva Lise, 6-2, 6-2. Daria Saville, who also had a great run to make it to the semis here, came back from a sit down against her before beating Noha Akugue. Yeah, well, what do you make of Aranjuez finally breaking out and getting that main tour title that she's been waiting for all these years?
Honestly, like for me, it's a big feel good story. I've definitely enjoyed it a ton. You know, the fact that she is the fact that she's 32, and you know throughout her career she basically hasn't been able to make any huge impact on the main tour. I think that's fair. You know, her biggest achievement on the main tour might have been beating Iga Świątek on clay just before she won Roland Garros for the first time. But yeah, this year she actually makes progress, right? She wins two 125Ks, which she never did before, and now she has a main tour title as well. She gets into the top 50. That's something incredible. That while I'm not even sure if she's improved her game all that much, but like you know, the years of hard work eventually got her there, and yeah, I think that's absolutely amazing. She's now going to get to play, you know, these main tour events constantly, at least until you know the spring or summer of 2024. So that's just amazing for her, and yeah, she was ready with in the final. This was her first main tour final as well, right? Just like with Noha
Mhm.
Akugue. But at the same time, Rus has played like 50 singles finals in her professional career, so she was probably equipped to handle this, even if she had never played the main tour final. In Warsaw, I actually talked to Weronika Falkowska, who made the WTA doubles final, and
Mhm.
well, I was doing like a 2v2 interview with her and Peter, and also with a friend of mine, and he asked her about like the emotions in regards to making that final, because we were talking after the semis, and she's like, what, my first final? No, I have already made three finals. And I got confused for a moment. I was like, am I forgetting about something? But he instantly realized, and she was just talking about the 125K finals. So I don't know, maybe Arancha also treats it like this, you know. Maybe for her it's not really her first main tour title. Who knows? But certainly she handled the occasion much better, and even if maybe not in main tour finals, she has a lot of experience in championship matches.
Yeah. I mean, she sure knows how to win a title, how to close the tournament out. Let's talk about the semifinalists here as well because they're both quite interesting. Diana Schneider Of course, we have had her break out first in Australia, coming through qualifying and then pushing Maria Sakkari all the way. Then she went back to college. She sort of had like a couple of decent wins in Charleston. She beat Noha Akugue. In Budapest last week, she beat Bernarda Pera, who I think was the defending champion there. She ended up beating Pera again in the quarterfinals,
Yeah.
6-4 in the third.
And Pera was
Lost
also the
match,
defending champion here, right? Because
yeah,
Pera
just
won back-to-back Budapest,
plummeting down those
Hamburg last
rankings
year.
right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, any thoughts on Schneider sort of getting another decent run here? Her best run on a WTA level tournament so far.
Yeah, obviously I'm very excited to see right now what she can do after finishing that 1 year in college that she did sort of. Well, no one is really sure why, but maybe it's like it actually benefits her. Maybe getting that sort of training for about half a year, I suppose, because she wasn't really there for a full year, right? And playing in the college scenarios, she can maybe she can just take the best out of that and use it on the main tour now. Who knows? It doesn't seem like it hampered her at all. She was still playing quite a lot of WTA events, right? Compared to most college players, she still appeared in Charleston. She still appeared at the Sunshine Double, of course, the Australian Open. So it's not like she was completely inactive like most college players are when they have the college season on. And yeah, the two wins over Pera definitely stand out, and then as we said, Pera was the defending champ in both of these events. So they were kind of unlucky, I think, to run into each other so early in both of them.
Yeah, and then Daria Saville, of course, coming back from a long-term injury. I think she was out for 9 months or so. Came back in Birmingham where she won a match, then lost 3 straight matches in a row to Buxa. Although they weren't bad losses, she lost in straight sets to Katie Bolter at Wimbledon, and then she won a set up on Timofeeva in the first round last week in Budapest, of course, with Timofeeva going on to winning the title. This week she came through qualifying, beating Palitsova and Kraus, then got a couple of nice matches beating Paolini. Then Tamara Korpacz, Julia Niemeyer was a setup on Anouchka Rus as well. Any thoughts on Saville here?
Yeah, she basically hasn't been playing this year, right? So good that she finally has a run like this. Wasn't maybe necessarily expecting it, but of course, compared to most Australians, she is actually pretty decent on clay. And yeah, hopefully that all these injury issues are going to be behind her at this point, and she can just keep playing. Because last year, I think a lot of us were like really excited about her at some point, right? There was that Sunshine Double, and maybe even a couple of events after that, where everyone was just fully thinking that perhaps this is when she starts like playing up to her potential again, and then the health again didn't really allow her to, which has been the story of her career, sadly.
Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about from Hamburg?
Not really. Yeah, cool that this event is now happening along with the men's, right? But I think that was also the case in last year already. I think 2022 was when this happened for the first time.
Yeah, and they do need it, since Hamburg, used to be a Masters 1000 event, used to be really big.
Yeah.
Then sort of became like almost like a joke 500. It was like the weakest 500 for a good few years. I think in the 2010s it was seen as that. Now it sort of gets like better field, I think, than it did before with Ruud and Rublev in there.
Maybe like in 2010, right, when Andrei Golubev won it. I think like right after the switch, right? That's probably
and I mean, like,
when it had the weakest.
Even like the Basilishvili 2 years that he won there, Klijan, I think.
Yeah, but I feel like
Did
Team maybe played in these editions or something, right? Or someone, I don't know. Yeah, but you're right that usually like relied on one big name like Nadal or Federer, right, to be relevant.
Yeah.
And right now it doesn't really need it, along with the women's and men's events at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Let's go on to Lausanne, where we had Elisabetta Cocciaretto winning the title over Clara Burel 7-5, 4-6, 6-4. Came back from, I think, 4-2 down in the deciding set. It seemed like Burel was very much in the driver's seat. She had, all this different variety, but eventually started missing. Cocciaretto just took advantage and went through her there, makes a top 30 debut. She started by beating Celine Naif, coming back from a set down 3-6, 7-6, 6-2. Beat Julia Riera in three sets, in three sets as well. After that, beat Avanesian Anna Bondar in the semifinals 6-7, 7-6, 7-5. So quite a few matches that she had to grind out here, but gets the title. What did you think of Cocciaretto?
Yeah, she's like the unlikely queen of altitude conditions. Not sure I really fully understand it, but of course she's won two 125s in Mexico the past couple of the past year or so, and this like Lausanne is also pretty fast. I think these conditions tend to be like tricky. It's tougher to keep the ball in play, and she just does that better than most players. I guess that's just how I understand it. That's how I try to explain it to myself. Yeah, like just looking at it from that perspective, I guess maybe you shouldn't be surprised. And frankly, I even at some point thought that maybe one of these titles that she won in Mexico was a 250. I didn't realize that was her first title up until this morning, I think. So yeah, and that thriller against Bondar must have been something amazing in the semis, but unfortunately I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, Bural had a bit of an easier road there. Beat Danilovic in straight sets, Emma Navarro in straight sets as well. Got a second set retirement from Anna Bogdan. Then had a big battle in the semis against Diane Paris, 4-6, 7-6, 6-3. Two sort of unorthodox, not unorthodox, but a little bit funky French players in the semis there. And yeah, was a breakup in that final as well. Thoughts on Burel here?
Yeah, I'm still kind of waiting for her to break through, right? I think everyone is finally up to like 60 something in the rankings. I love like how her game has a bit of like a pocket rocket feel to it. Definitely a huge forehand and something that well, you can see why she's inconsistent, but you can also see why people at some point thought that she might be like the next big thing when she was the junior world number one. We'll see how far she can actually go from here, but yeah, I think there's a lot of untapped potential there still. And I actually also did not realize that this is her second WTA final, and this was also her second final in Lausanne. But yeah, then again, fast clay, that's good for her too. So maybe it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, Diane Paris was right there with her. She beat Fiona Ferro in the first round, 6-2 in the third. Takes a Danka Kovinic and Alize Cornet after her. Was also up on Burel. And yeah, one of these last players that we have on the women's side with the one-handed backhand, almost a relic of a time long past with her game. But yeah, what did you think of her week here?
Yeah, she should be like driving the flag for one-handed backhand players on the WTA side for years, I suppose. Right now in the top 200, I think it's just her and Tatiana Maria. So Tatiana Maria, you barely see her play the one-hander, and of course she's like 35. So yeah, basically there's not much hope besides Diane Parry. I guess in recent years we also had the Australian Open runner-up Veronika Bashak, but no, it doesn't seem like she's going to make it in the pros at this point in time. So yeah, it's basically just Diane Parry when it comes to talented youngsters, and also another French former junior number one, right, with Burel. So that was a very exciting semi-final, I think, especially for French fans, to get the final between the two French number ones, which haven't quite like met the expectations yet, but of course they're still young enough to to a point like where you can think that there's still plenty of chance for them to start. Well, maybe not winning slams or something, but just become just become bigger, like have a bigger impact on the main tour that they have so far. I think Paris doesn't have a final at the WTA level yet, right? But she had a few matches this year, like at the, what was it, the French, where she was playing that well. No, what was that? I think it was like just before the French, right? That she won that
Oh yeah,
125K, and
she won a title in Paris, right?
yeah, and
A
then
walkover
she
from
and then
Magali.
she crushed Kalinina in the opening round at the French. Like
Yeah,
that was probably her strongest moment of the year.
yeah, and then of course the year before she beat Krejcikova when Krejcikova was a defending champion at Roland Garros. Of course, just coming back from
Yeah, yeah.
injury, but yeah, she has had some nice moments at the French already. Yeah, and the last semifinals we haven't spoken about yet was Anna Bondar. She beat Adriana Bolsova 6-1, 6-3. Took out Mira Andreeva, who some tipped to maybe win the event or at least go deep. She took her out in the second round in straight sets. Also destroyed Tamara Zidanšek in the quarterfinals 6-2, 6 love, and then played out a marathon match against Kocheret. Also came very close to making the final herself there, Bondar.
Yeah. I mean, such a weird year for her, right? I mean, probably one of the best, well, the best run of her career, I think, at Rome. Now also Lausanne, but otherwise so many first round exits. I was super stunned that she beat Andreeva. Seemed to me like the Russian could have a great chance at her first WTA Tour title in Lausanne. Not sure if what happens if she beats Bondar. We're never gonna know, but she definitely would have been among the main favorites still at that point.
Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about from Lausanne? The doubles was actually won by Bondar and Paris, so two of the semifinalists that we had
Losing
beating Anshka.
semifinalists.
Yeah, two of our losing semifinalists, winning the doubles 6-2, 6-1 in the final as well, destroying Anshka in that huge. And I see that the Andreeva sisters actually played doubles together as well, which I didn't see. They won 5 games together, so probably sticking to singles is better for them as well. But yeah, if that's all, I think that we can probably wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
I think we can also
subscribe.
mention that Jennifer Brady is making her return
Right,
to the
yeah.
WTA level next week. Of course, she's already played, what was it, 100K, I think, in Granby. I actually watched both of these matches, but her opponents were more unknown to me. So when in the first round she played, let me Google that quickly because I'm sorry, but I don't remember the name. When she played Kyoka Okamura in the opening round, I actually didn't really know if maybe Okamura was just so nervous about playing a former Grand Slam runner-up that she if she was maybe so nervous that she just wasn't able to keep herself together. And still don't know because this was the only time I watched Okamura. But then when she ran into Himeno Sakatsume, she that was already more of an indicator, I think, even though she lost, that Brady is, well, one thing, healthy and also still a fantastic ball striker. So very excited to see her in that WTA Tour return. I think even if she lost in the second round in Granby, this was a pretty promising showing. So what's she gonna do against Kalinina? Who knows? I wonder what the odds are on this match, right? Like, what do you think?
Right now it's about 150 for Kalinina and 260 to 270.
Sounds fair.
Jen Brady.
Sounds fair. You cannot really say that Brady is the favorite, but she should have a winnable chance there.
Kalinina isn't like the best, a hardcore player. I see her more as a clay courter. Also, I mean, since the injury that she suffered in Rome, she hasn't really won. She hasn't really had any good wins, particularly. So I think Brady has a pretty decent chance to make a winning return to the WTA Tour here.
Yeah, John is also showing us a poll of who's winning WTA Washington. It seems like all of these top seeds have pretty tough draws, I have to say. Garcia playing Andrescu or Kostyuk in the second round. That's crazy. I guess Goff has it a little easier, but then again, do you really trust her? And Pegula playing Kenin or then maybe Svitolina or Kasatkina in the quarters. It seems like a very strong event. I guess most WTA 500s recently have been pretty insane. So
Yeah, I mean the men's, they made a 48 draw, so it's a lot more watered down.
yeah,
Here you really have so many great first rounds. I mean, of course, tonight at like 1 a.m. I'll probably be asleep, but we're going to get Svitolina Azarenka, which is going to be great. You of course have, you know, Golf potentially playing Pliskova in the second round. That's also not easy. So yeah, just quite strong across the board here at these
and
events.
this is actually the first time they play it as a combined event, right? Men,
We're
women.
both are 500s. They played it before,
Oh,
but it was the women's.
okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah. So in 2022, the women's event showed up, and then, but it was a 250. Okay, so it's like Hamburg. So they basically started playing it
Yeah.
at
Well,
the
I mean,
same time.
they used to have that two. They used to have that 250 even back in the day.
But was it
Like
at the same time though?
yeah, same time. Yeah, yeah. But they would have like
Uh-huh. So it just wasn't in 2021. Okay. So it basically disappeared off the tour in 2020, the women's event, and then returned in
mhm,
2022. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the confusing story there. But anyway, right now it's of course both both WTA 500. I'd rather play in Warsaw than the humidity at the City Open, says Ghosty. Um, yeah, but then again, you're already in the States, right? You're already getting ready for the North American hardcourt season. And if you really wanna stay in Europe this week, you have Prague as a female tennis player. You are Ghosty, but well, if that was the case, you still have Prague in Europe. But I also understand why players don't really want to do it, right? Like I think if
Yeah,
you
I mean,
want to, uh huh.
yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, no one really significant stayed behind for Prague. Boskova is the top seed there.
Yeah, I think
Julin is the
Buskova
second seed.
last year, which is actually kind of telling. Last year, Buskova was when she won it. Of course, she was like the 8th seed or something like that, and now she is the
Mhm.
top seed. While her ranking, while it has improved, it hasn't improved all that much. I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Strycova
it's
will be
just
there though. Continues her farewell tour, which will end at the U.S. Open. So that's something to potentially watch if you're going to be watching Prague. See a bit of Barbara Strycova.
absolutely. So last year Prague was when about July, right? So she was about 60-ish in the rankings back then. So right now she is definitely a bit higher than that. But yeah, she would still be about the 4th seed or something. Yeah, it's definitely weaker than it was last year, but that's because the date is just closer, 1 week closer to the American hardcore circuit. Um, so
Yeah,
that's the problem there. And also, I guess the existence of WTA 500 Washington, right? That also changes up the power balance. It makes less sense for players to stay in Europe now that they have a bigger event there, I suppose. And
yeah. It's only really for players who have to play qualifying, and just wanted to rather have the security of a main draw event.
but yeah, it's the
This
fact
week.
that it is a week later than last year that is definitely hampering Prague a little bit. Not sure
For sure, for
why
sure.
it is the case. I guess that's just what they had to settle for. Um, but yeah, um, anything anything else basically. We've talked about Warsaw,
Yeah,
which of
I
course
think
is
we've said it all. Thank you so much for joining us. Like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 3,000 as you see on the screen right now. Every day getting closer.
and you
Thanks so
saw
much.
the amazing intro video, which
Yeah,
if that didn't actually like convince you to start watching Talking Tennis on a regular basis, I don't know what will. If that
Nothing
didn't
went
convince
wrong.
you, then nothing I say can do it for you. So just rewind. Yeah. Oh yeah, John. Yes. Play it as an outro as well. And otherwise, of course, the stream is gonna, like, the broadcast is still gonna be on the channel, so you can watch this intro anytime you want.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was posted separately, so you can loop it. Anything you want, you can just have it on repeat. Fall asleep to it if you can.
No, the emotions, like, it would be too much. I don't think you could fall asleep with that. It should be like something more ambient, relaxing to fall asleep to. This would actually get you going. If you, for example, are falling asleep at the wheel, you take out your phone and you watch the intro to Talking Tennis shows, and then you're instantly gonna be able to go all night without an energy drink.
Yeah, if you're a truck driver watching us right now, loop that outro, loop that intro.
Oh yeah,
for
and
yourself.
tune into ATP Weekly today. I think it's Vanch with Hanlon Walsh, maybe. Am I right? Yeah, John's nodding, so I am right. It's gonna be Vanch with, it's like in a couple of hours, so make sure to tune into that.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.